This episode of the Gooner Ramble podcast is sponsored by the sporting app Bookie. Download Bookie, use the promo code podcast, bet and deposit £10 for a free £10 bet. That's Bookie, BOOKEE. Please bet responsibly.
Hello, welcome to the Gooner Ramble podcast. I'm your host Giles, and joining me this chilly evening are Dave, and you can find him at Gooner Dave 66. You right, mate?
Yeah, I'm good.
Sobered up, not too bad.
Yeah,
sobered up from the long drive. Yeah.
You're hungover now, aren't you?
No.
Takes a while to recover. No?
I was in a car at 5 to 6.
Oh yeah. You would be still pissed. Potentially.
Can't. Yes, potentially.
You might have some police officers listening to this, so let's not go any further.
And we've also got the original Asian sensation. We've got Akhil. You right, mate?
Damn right, Asian sensation. FK tried to steal that. I got rid of him. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm very. I'm still a bit chilly from last night, but then I suppose the 5 goals warmed us up. But yeah,
Indeed. And you can catch Akhil at 10 Akhil. And last but not least, laid up in some lay-by somewhere in Britain.
yeah.
Not sure what he's up to. But he's taken time out. He's taken time out to join us for a few minutes.
Dogging!
You've let me secret out, bloody hell.
You're right, Woz. You're right.
Yeah, I'm alright, and if it makes Dave feel any better, I think I'm still hungover from Cologne, so
Wow.
I wouldn't worry about him being in a bad way for that. He's alright. But yeah, I'm not. I must say, I'm not into dogging. Maybe on occasion, but not tonight. I've been at work, so let me off tonight.
All right. Let's kick off. You were all there at the Emirates last night to see what turned out to be an easy 5-0 demolition of plucky Huddersfield Town. The star performers of the night were Ozil and Ramsey, who were head and shoulders from what I could tell from what everyone was saying in social media. Mustafi in the defence against another clean sheet. Lacazette's injury, what does that mean for us going forward? And how do we continue to get the best out of someone like Ozil? So, without further ado, before we come to, we'll call him the Gooner Ramble's version of Gary Neville. Before we get to Woz, I want to ask Dave, start with you. Describe, in a nutshell, the performance last night for you.
In a nutshell, we scored early, which should have meant the floodgates opened because they had to change their game plan. Whilst it relaxed you, it was actually quite a slack performance, I think, of the first half. Quite a lot of straight passes, not as thorough as I think we should have been. I think the concentration was a bit wayward in certain individuals. Don't know what was said at half time. Second half, completely different team. Just put them to bed easily, and it could have been more than 5, to be honest. We were very dominant. Huddersfield didn't know what hit them, but it was very much 2 different performances in the 2 halves, I felt.
Ax, do you think there was any kind of, seeing this word hangover is a buzzword time, do you think there's any hangover from Sunday's car trip away to Burnley that kind of spilled over into the first half? Really, outside 60 minutes of the game, you could call it.
No, not really. I don't think so, actually. I think, obviously, we started well. We scored the goal, and, if there was a hangover, I'm not sure that would have happened. I just think that, it's that old thing with Arsenal, isn't it? That when the pressure isn't on, and when no one's really expecting much, and no one's talking about us, we normally perform well, but as soon as there's a little bit of pressure, and when I mean pressure, I mean, we're in 4th position. We could have, gone 3 more points clear of Spurs and things like that. That we sometimes do get a little bit sort of nervous. And that 1-0, we did look it, and Huddersfield came into the game a little bit more, and they created chances. But I think we all felt fairly comfortable that as long as we don't concede a stupid goal and Huddersfield don't score, they will probably run out of legs, and then our sort of quality will shine through. And this squad is quite fresh. we've lost 6 Champions League games that a lot of these players would have played, and they haven't played them this season. So this is the first real time we've had to play 3 games in a week. Huddersfield too have had to play 3 games in a week, and they won't be used to it at this level. Of course, in the Championship you have to play a lot of games, but generally I don't think there was a hangover. I just think there was a little bit of nerves, maybe early nerves, after the goal. But I just thought it was important to hang on in there. And then, once we scored the second goal, it was obviously Huddersfield lost their legs and they pretty much lost their fight as well. And we kind of steamrolled them. So no, I think it was okay.
Okay, well, it's interesting because Aaron Ramsey did actually say that.
What does he know? I'm kidding.
He did say that they came from a tough game up away at Burnley, and he thinks that played a part in the bad start in the first half. And obviously, in the second half they improved. And they took a full advantage of the gaps that started to open up in Huddersfield, and the fact that we raised our tempo in the second half and created way more chances. Gary Neville, over to you. We saw some brilliant videos today. You breaking down the Huddersfield resistance and whatnot. What was it for you that stood out most about the performance last night?
More Gary Mabbutt.
I was going to say another Gary, but I remember he got done for for stuff.
Don't talk about dogging and then start bringing this up, mate. I'll get arrested.
Yeah.
I think you boys have hit the nail on the head. I think first half, I don't know about hungover. I thought Granit Xhaka was drunk. I don't know what was up with him, but he was really having an off game. Alexis was searching too much. He weren't retaining his position. He does what he does, where he just sort of plays on his own field and goes wherever he likes to get the ball, and he tries so hard. But I think we were trying to force it a bit too much. And once we did get our early goal, which was fantastic because it's very rare we do come out and actually get an early goal in these sort of games. So, and as Dave said, he sort of expected us to end up winning 5-0, but sort of spreading the goals out a bit rather than just having an unbelievable sort of 35 minutes in the second half. But once we did get in at half time and sort of Arsenal must have had a word, and we come out with a much higher intensity. I thought positionally we were a lot better. Ramsey was getting in some great areas. Mesut Ozil just took the game by a scruff of the neck, and everyone really performed quite well. And defensively we did look so solid. And I know it's Huddersfield, but they did have a few attacks, and I must say a big shout out to Petr Cech for that save with his feet at 1-0, because that was a massive moment. That really was a massive moment. And it could have been very different had that gone in, but fair play, Cech, he stayed alive, and the one thing he had to do. But I thought Mustafi was great for the game, and again, it was nice to see us turn the screw. But we worked hard, and all the goals, mate, just sensational, beautiful.
Good stuff. You picked a few players out there. Now, some people would have said, I saw some people say that Xhaka actually had a good game. Maybe he had a good second half, but didn't he? The first half, he was very off colour, wasn't he? Passing was astray, as you said, and he just seemed to not pick up the tempo of the game. And what worried me in that first half, or what kind of worried me going forward really, is the ease with which, their forwards, their front three kind of made hay. In our back line, I'm thinking, okay, they're up against Kwalnier or whatever his name, and Mounier and some other fellow, Kachunga or whatever his name is. You replace them with Lukaku, what's his name? Lingard. They're calling him Messi Lingard after Tuesday's display, and Martial, and it could be a whole different breed of game. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm hoping they just sort of like they've got over that. What was a difficult away trip to Burnley. They've brushed off the cobwebs. That result, that performance, the eventual performance and result will stand us in good stead, and we'll be at the top of our game looking forward to the Man United fixture, because Man United are coming in pretty confident. Even though they've got lots of injuries, they're coming in pretty confident. I think they've scored 4 goals in 6 different occasions this season in the Premier League alone. They're the second top scorers. Obviously, they're Chelsea and Man City's tails. We have to be on our game, don't we, Dave? I mean, this is Saturday's going to be a humdinger of a game, isn't it?
Well, we always think they're going to be, and they're not always are. But yeah, I do think so. I have said that. I mean, Man United scored 3 against Watford. I think they had 3 shots in the whole game. It wasn't a dominant display. I mean, the first 20 minutes or so, they were on the back foot.
Yep.
Man United are doing what Mourinho sides do. They are getting results. They've got a fantastic, sequence of results, but the performances aren't the same. They're getting the results. They're going to have to play a lot better, I think, than they've been playing to beat us at our, at the Emirates on Saturday. If we play at our top of our game, I genuinely believe we're a better side than them. But I do take your point that we need to be solid at the back. But I've got a feeling that Mourinho will come and park the bus. I really don't think he's going to come and attack us, certainly at the beginning of the game. So if we attack them, they're going to defend.
Okay. What do you reckon, Axe?
I thought Arsene Wenger was playing the mind games already. Actually, yesterday, I don't know if you saw a piece. It was probably in all the papers. I happened to read it in the Telegraph because Chips Keswick tells us to read the Telegraph. But there was a piece with Jeremy Wilson, and it was about Wenger saying that he doesn't think Mourinho and United will come and park the bus. He thinks they'll come to attack Arsenal and come to play. And that just tells me there's mind games in that. He's basically, it's like when when you're at school and you kind of dare someone to do something, but you kind of hint that they're going to do it because they're not going to do it in a way. So you're hoping that will then trigger them to do it. And that's what it felt like. It felt like Arsenal do want United to come and play a little bit to make it a slightly more open game. And then obviously, our flair players can obviously, hopefully do their thing sort of thing. But, I don't know. I think looking at sort of the league table, previous years, it all depends on what United are really aiming for. Do they believe they can be champions? Because if they do, they need to win at the Emirates. It's as simple as that. If it's more about, if they kind of deep down think, well, it'll be nice to challenge, but deep down City are going to win it, and actually second place would be good for us, after the kind of last 4 or 5 years we've had, then potentially a draw for United's actually a good result. And we all know what Jose Mourinho's about. He won titles on getting a point away to big teams. So I don't know. It depends on what United really want to achieve this season, I think. But I mean, it's one of those things that an early goal for us, and suddenly your whole game plan's gone. But an early goal for them, and it could make it quite tricky. So I think for us, it's just important to kind of start not cautiously, but keep it tight, not concede, and then kind of hope that kind of front three plus Ramsey can kind of replicate the form they did last night and the form we showed against Tottenham at the Emirates a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. So, yeah, I don't know. It all depends on United's expectations for the season, I say.
Okay. Akhil's talked about Ramsey and the Golden Trinity, the Holy Trinity. Take us through some of the standout goals that we saw last night. For first goal, for instance, you did a video today expressing basically movement into space and how we use the space to sort of like move them around and shift our players into position. Just talk us through that.
It's just again, I'll take it back to Lacazette because I was so wrong. I keep saying it, and
you don't have to keep saying it, mate. Listen, mate. We all,
geezer, I did not know that he had this level of intelligence to his game, and maybe it's because I haven't watched him extensively enough and seen what he can do. But just every week, the more and more I see him, and when you're 2.5 minutes into a game and you see Mesut Ozil dropping deep to take the ball off his mate Granit like he does time and time again, and Ramsey switches positions with him, and you see him players dragged all over the place, and Huddersfield are a solid base. They're obviously going to be set in. They're going to stop all the passing movements, and we just tore them apart. And the speed of pass, everything about it, from Lacazette having it on his right foot, shifting it, the quick pass to Xhaka, Ramsey dropping in, a little ball in behind, the flick, the finish, everything about it, mate, is just superb to watch. And that is football. That's what I'd pay triple that to watch that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we talk about ticket prices. It was 26 quid for me last night, and I had one of the best nights of watching football I've had in years. I just loved it. Some of the football we played, and my personal favourite was the third goal, I think, and that summed up for me. Just say about it quickly. It started with Mustafi again. He's so quick to read the ball. He gets in front of his man. He's aggressive, and he comes flying in, wins the header. And then Giroud. It's an old additive when you play football and when you're learning. Play the way you're facing. First touch, controls it. Ramsey's got the picture of the game. Giroud knows that. Lays it into him. Ramsey with an unbelievable first-time ball, by the way. He sliced the defence open between the centre-back and full-back. Ozil's on his bike down the wing, playing on that inside right. He's pulled wide this time. The ball's perfect. And, I mean, to be honest, I sit in that corner and I looked up, and at the time I thought, he's tried to pick Giroud up. But clearly not, because Alexis, I mean, this is the difference in levels. I mean, I'm a world-class footballer, but he's on another planet. Like, I couldn't even see. So when I watched it back, I thought, bloody hell, yeah, he was picking him out. Because at the time, I thought, surely he ain't planted that on Alexis' foot. And Alexis Sanchez, you have to say, finished with aplomb. What a banger, mate. I mean, that goal, the whole move, the speed of it, the intensity of Mustafi's header, Giroud with a one-touch of layoff, Ramsey first time, bullet pass, like 25 yards, slice the defence open. Ozil just measured the cross of his weak foot, and Alexis thunder blasts it straight in the top of the goal. And you're standing there thinking, yeah, this is it, mate. Yeah, and this is what we want to see. But them sort of, I mean, we scored 3 goals in
4 minutes. Three and 4 minutes. I think
it's just astonishing. Remember, we went through a spell of doing that, didn't we, a couple of seasons ago, where we would score we just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But,
was this our highest win, like, in terms of, since what?
I think it was a 5-0 against
Aston Villa.
Yeah.
A
couple of years ago. Yeah.
God, that was.
But the thing is, imagine, I mean, stupidly before the game, I put $5 on 9-0 as a joke, and it was 500 to 1. And I'm not being funny. If we'd have started like that, I'm telling you now, with the subs that we brought on in Welbeck, Wilshere, and Giroud, he wouldn't have been far off 9 if we had that intensity. And it's just nice to see Arsenal turn up, and it's been a while since I've bought into the idea that we play beautiful football, because for me it's been quite a long time and it's been a bit of a myth. But my God, last night, I mean, even sitting here now, I'm just thinking about it, and it's just one of them things where everyone in the stadium can just appreciate how good the level of football they're seeing, and the speed, and the not just on the ball, off the ball, everything that was happening. It was just great. And poor old Huddersfield, that's sort of fair play to their fans, by the way. All of them travelled in good numbers, sung well, but that's the Premier League. Welcome to the Premier League sort of performance, and I loved it.
Funny you say about the 9-0 in odds, because our friends at Bookie, who obviously have backed us for the season, they actually had a special, and it was Arsenal to win by 4 goals or more, 2-0. So it was basically 4-0 or up. And obviously it was a special, and I sort of was meant to put a tenner and forgot, and I was a bit late and then got no network. But again, that was just, even I was surprised that we kept another clean sheet, and we've become when we do kind of keep clean sheets, we've become like a 2-0 team, haven't we? 3-0 if we're feeling really lucky. But I mean, to win 5, I just think the confidence must be really. It's such a good thing going into Saturday. In fact, it's the perfect way, isn't it? A last-minute winner and then a bit of a thrashing. It's perfect.
And the thing is, what we're seeing now is like loads of people currently player permutations. The front 3, I think it's 12 goals, is it? I don't know, in 6 games or something. I can't remember. I don't know what the stat is, but the Holy Trinity scored how many goals? The back 3 haven't conceded a goal in like 5 or 6 games.
It's back 7. Back 7, yeah. Yeah, well, you say back 7, yeah, that's 7. Yeah. It's been six complete full 90 minutes without conceding a goal, which is astonishing.
Well done, lads, for jinxing it all.
I want to bring back Dave. I want to bring back Dave. Dave, been looking in the press. Obviously, we know what you've been up to today. You've not really been seeing what's going on social media, but looking in the press today, social media today, there seems to be sort of split camp. People are saying, why can't Ozil do this all the time? Other people are saying, this is what happens when you put great players in the positions around Ozil. How do you see it? I mean, we've spoken about him a lot in the past, but now as we're coming into what probably is our final few months of seeing him in an Arsenal shirt, what do you think we should?
As you said, obviously he's going to be consistent next year now, isn't he? He's going to do it every week next year.
Probably
now
so.
You said it. So.
Yeah, but I mean, Dave, where do you sit? Do you think it's a case of just making sure that he has the right players around him so that he can do what he does best? Or do you think it's a case of, why can't he do this every week? Regardless of...
No, I do think it's both. I mean, obviously, he's bound to be better when he's got players around him on the same wavelength who understand what he wants to do. Of course, that isn't there's that question. On the football, he is the closest thing to Dennis Bergkamp I've seen. Barring Cesc in an Arsenal shirt, in that last 13, 14-year period. However, it is just still incredibly frustrating that with the amount of talent he has, how few times he actually takes a game by the scruff of the neck, because that's what world-class players can do. And, I don't think Alexis Sanchez is anywhere near as good a footballer as Ozil, but I've seen Alexis Sanchez win games for us single-handed. I saw Cesc Fabregas win games for us single-handed. I saw Thierry Henry win games for us single-handed, all of them on a regular basis. I can probably count on one hand the games that I would say Ozil's won for us single-handed. And that just frustrates, doesn't it? Because he's so talented. He sees passes that other people don't see. It's like, and I don't play FIFA, but I've spoken to people who do, and it's
at your age you shouldn't.
No, but it's that even you can plan, you can see a pass, and you can make the moves yourself. You have to be in a stand, as was just said earlier. He couldn't see the pass that Ozil made for the Alexis goal. Even with his eye, he couldn't see that coming. And I don't
one eye. I'd appreciate one eye.
Too many stellars.
But that's what he can do. He sees the passes that other players can't see, and maybe it is that his own teammates don't see them. Maybe that is the situation. Maybe with Bergkamp they did. I don't know. But it is frustrating. I just hope he's not in a situation on Saturday where he's out to impress the guy who's going to be his manager next season.
Well, let's hope not, because the other two guys that did that had stinkers, didn't they? Alexis Sanchez had a stinker against Man City, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain was even worse against Liverpool. So let's just hope that he's showing the commitment as Arsene Wenger says.
It's going to be interesting also, because the last passage of conversation before this, when we were talking about the beautiful football again, one of the last times we really played in a fashion like that for a sustained period was that 20-minute spell 2 years ago when we blew Man United away.
I was going to come to that. 3-0.
20 minutes, and then we sort of switched off. But it was that fluidity of movement, the pace and the running off the ball. But the interesting point there, and you were probably going to come on to it anyways, if I recall correctly, that was without Giroud, wasn't it?
That was with
Alexis Ozil and Theo that day.
Yep.
And
Walcott was unbelievable.
However good Giroud was coming on, if he wants to play that way from the start, is it Welbeck over Giroud? As a pacey front three. It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's a big decision for him to make.
Indeed. Let's hold that thought, guys.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was watching that video today, actually. I was going to come on to it. Ozil isn't a great goal scorer, but he's a scorer of great goals. Every time he puts one in, he's, there's something unique, there's something new. He gives us something new, doesn't he? To drool over. And I don't know how many people noticed it at first, but on the replays, the fact that he actually hits the ball into the ground, to get the bounce over the keeper is mad, isn't it? I mean, Woz is there? Hello? Woz?
Oh, mate, I'm here, mate. I'm just talking to myself on mute because I'm an absolute plonker.
Well, he's on a dark road.
Yeah, on a dark road. Someone's got me. Yeah. I must have, you might not believe this, but I sat there when the goal went in. I turned to the geezers I sit with and I said to him, he's just done that pass he done for Germany. I said, he's just scored doing that pass he's done. They was like, nah, he ain't. I said, I'm sure he has. I was like, it is physically impossible. If he'd have dinked that ball, I don't think he'd have had the pace to go in the net. If he'd have hit his foot through it, he'd have either had to go high or the keeper would have saved it with his legs. And somehow he just defies physics, and if I'd have done that, I'd have broke my leg. I don't know how he done it. I really do not know how he done it. And
it's one of those, you did have to watch it 4 or 5 times. I watched it again last night when I got back, and on Match of the Day I had to kind of record it a few times just to see, actually, was that what I thought it was?
I'll tell you what, go on Arsenal Media. It's the best angle. They've slowed it right down.
They've got a few slow-mos.
They've slowed it right down. Unbelievable.
But I did think, I thought to myself, surely, I thought, he's done it. And I said to him, and they was like, nah, surely not. I was like, surely he ain't done that. There's no chance he's done that. And then, oh my God. But the whole move, by the way, not just the finish. I mean, what a flipping joke. It was a joke. It started with him doing that crazy flick around the defender, and he's just liquid. the geezer just glides. He glides through the football pitch. So it's almost as if he's on water, just running across.
It's a decent assist as well there,
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it
was Ramsey? Ramsey?
Oh, sorry, mate. That was the goal before. Yeah, the Ramsey there. That goal was when Aaron slid him in.
I was kidding, by the way. I knew exactly who it was.
Yeah, I was talking about the wrong goal there. I was talking about when he set up Giroud. But yeah, the finish there from Ramsey's pass was a great pass, and he'd done well to hold his run as well. But yeah, Mez, as a footballer, I was getting all mashed up because there were so many nice things that happened. I can't take it all in.
And we talked about, we got a lot to talk about, but Ramsey, for me, since the Liverpool Stoke period, has been unbelievably good. I mean, Woz has always talked about him. He's always said, you appreciate him now, you pillocks. And he's probably, and I'm one of those pillocks. I'm going to freely admit.
Woz's first words were Aaron Ramsey. I think he was about 1.5.
Yeah. But, you know, Woz has been backing him for years, for absolute years, you know, and I've had my...
He was backing him before Aaron Ramsey was backing
you know
himself.
What I mean? And, you know, Dave has had his issues with him, but Dave's always said, once he's fit and he's 100%, we'll see a different Ramsey.
Yeah, but Woz obviously was wrong. Because he was crap. He was playing crap and Woz was saying he was playing well. He's now playing well.
No, I wasn't saying he was playing well. I've never said he was playing well. What I said...
He went for a long period where he was underperforming for the level he should be performing at. That's a fact. And now,
and then he won back.
Yeah, he scored the goal. Anyone could have scored a winning goal. It didn't mean he was the best player on the pitch, does it? You know,
well, he was.
Right place
came
at the
out
right
of the park.
Yeah, but all last season, he wasn't playing like that.
No, I agree, Dave. I agree.
He was so far below the level we knew he could attain because we saw that level in 2014.
It's about the geezers around him, Dave.
He's
like Ozil, mate. You're right. You're spot on. Like you said about Ozil.
But now
he needs players around him.
Exactly. In the right position, and he's playing. He is back at that level. He's back at that level, and his passing is massively improved. He's making sensible passes. He's making shorter passes. He's moving after he's passed the ball. He's not looking for the flicks. He's not looking for the 30-yard Hollywood balls that he's never been any good at. He does them occasionally. He's just playing at the optimum level for all the strengths in his game. That's all he ever had to do. You don't have to shoot the lights out to be a great footballer. You just have to be the best you can be in what you can do, and that's what he's doing.
I said to you, I think you and Kenny were having a conversation about him this morning. I said that when for me, he is the midfield. I mean, if you look at the stats and the metrics, he's out passing Xhaka. You know, even his crossfield balls are key passes now. You know, he's affecting the game in all three facets. And for me, he's outshining Xhaka, but at the same time, not taking anything away from Xhaka, he's actually protecting Xhaka because now Xhaka slowly but quietly can come into form. You know, with Ramsey taking on that mantle, that responsibility, it's allowing Xhaka to actually come back into form. You know, okay, first half he wasn't great, but you know, he's a bit more secure. I think his numbers might be creeping up now, becoming a bit more secure. Once he's comfortable, he becomes a bit more secure. We're seeing him, like you said in the first goal, you know, he receives it, he gives it the outside of his boot, you know, to keep the ball flowing. I think for me, and we've said it recently the last few months, Ramsey's one of the players that we have to build around. You know, Dave said, give him the captaincy, give him 280 or whatever it is that he wants, you know, and build and make him one of the pillars, not the pillar, but one of the pillars to build around going forward.
Yeah. I think with Aaron, I mean, obviously, you know, I love him and all that, and I've done praises, but Dave's hit the nail on the head with what he's saying about his underperforming, and I completely agree with that. But I also think this is the first time in a long time, as Dave alluded to, Aaron Ramsey is fully fit. He is fully fit, not just physically, he is mentally back on his game because for a long time, when he's struggling in spells, not just physically but mentally, these little flicks like the one for the first goal or the raking balls, the through balls, he slid Giroud in with he cut the defence apart, he slid Ozil in before Ozil crossed to Alexis, he slid out Ozil in for the goal. These kind of things weren't happening for him, and I think a lot of it is down to the speed of thought and maybe trying too hard to get back to his level. But now, and it's the same with Ozil's performances, they just come naturally because the ball flows. Like when we watched the Everton game, you could just see that everyone it weren't about management or telling someone to do this or telling someone to do that. These boys are bloody good footballers, and when you let them flow like they do, and even that first goal the other night, Lacazette's movement, Xhaka's intelligence and speed of pass, Ozil just opening the whole game up with one little move deep, and Ramsey knowing exactly where to be, and these little flicks will come off now, and whereas before, especially now he's coming to this run of form, if he does try something, the fans ain't straight on his back, which is nice, because I don't want to take that risk away from his game, because I think that is something that adds a lot to the football team. Yeah, it is part of him, and it is part of Arsenal's DNA to try and be beautiful, but not all the time, and not in the wrong areas, which is what he was guilty of a lot. And
he's cutting that out now.
He is cutting out, and I think you made a great point about Xhaka, because in the first half he really struggled, and he really was struggling, but Ramsey helped him, and another big factor in that is Mesut. Because Mesut will just, if he sees us struggling deeper, he will drop deep, and he'll become an extra man, and he just relieves all the pressure on Xhaka, and Xhaka is benefiting from it, and yes, maybe he is still too slow, yes, he is slow in decision making and all that, but I do think we got a gem in Granit Xhaka, and I think the longer we can, and the gutting thing is, I mean, Ramsey could be leaving, Ozil could be leaving, and I just think that them three are three players, Xhaka, Ozil, Ramsey, that I would build around. They're all of an age where they've still got a few years in them, and when you see that back three, I mean, we're going to have to replace Koscielny and probably Monreal in the next few years, but maybe for 2 seasons, if we could have just had 2 years of this sort of seven of Kolasinac, Bellerin, the back three, and the two, and Ozil, and then if Alexis went, I'd be gutted, but I think we could get someone in. I think we could get a numbers guy in, but I don't know, it's just a shame that Wenger's built this squad, and unfortunately when we finally found a solid formation and a way of seeing players flourish, that maybe it might all break up before our eyes, mate. But
I'm starting to wonder if Ozil might not sign in there.
Oh, if he does, mate, I
don't know why, I'm just starting to think that.
Was it because of what? I know Giroud, a lot of the players have come out recently, so I think Giroud came out today and said, look, you know, he's got to sign, he's got to stay, somehow got to make him stay.
He just looks content again, doesn't he? You know, his body language at the beginning of the season, even until 2 or 3 weeks ago, wasn't there. You know, things weren't going well. The shoulders were dropping. His head
frustrated, wasn't he, mate?
He looks happy within his own skin again. Now he looked happy in the game for Germany. He looked happy against Tottenham. He just looks.
Maybe
like
because he got last Saturday
again.
off.
Could be last Sunday.
Maybe he was happy that he got Sunday off with his annual leave request.
But that came out late, didn't it? Because he travelled up with the guys, didn't he? So he got that one late.
I'm only kidding. I actually agree with Dave. You know, he's playing with a smile on his face again, and I think that's key there.
And when he does that, I play with a smile on my face in the stands.
Yeah.
They've got to get Ramsey. They need to be talking to Ramsey over Christmas time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ramsey needs to be signed by January, to be announced in the window that he's signed. That's got to happen.
Axe, 2 things. Ramsey this time last season he got a hamstring injury, 3 weeks out. You know, obviously we don't have the Champions League commitments this season, so hopefully, you know, a fit Ramsey mentally, physically, soulfully is great for the team, right? So hopefully, touch wood.
Yeah.
This Christmas season, this Christmas period, we don't miss him. Secondly, the new guy, Raul Sanllehi from Barcelona. I know he officially starts in February, but do you think, he'll be quietly sort of like making...
Stick to calling him Colombo, mate.
Colombo, yeah, exactly. Lieutenant Colombo. Do you think that he'll be quietly behind the scenes trying to like talk to Ozil's people, Ramsey's people, whoever they are, whoever Wenger thinks we should be, you know, right now trying to convince them. Because that's what he's been brought in for. He's not been brought in to bring in new players, but to actually get them signed.
Absolutely. I mean, he'll have contacts in football, and that's kind of part of the reason why he's there. So, yeah, you would hope so, you know. He obviously starts officially in February, but we all know that even in our level jobs, even if you're starting a big job, you kind of start before, don't you? You start doing a bit of prep and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, hopefully that's had an influence. I mean, it's, you know, players like that, you know, Mesut Ozil's 29, it's, if you look at it from his point of view completely, you know, he's got a big team near him, and a big team might be saying you can probably win more and earn more elsewhere, but at the end of the day, Mesut Ozil's enjoying his football, and at the end of the day, it's probably his last big contract, so it's a massive decision for him, absolutely massive. He needs to, you know, there's no guarantees in football, but he'll want to, he'll want to have the best chance of winning things, earning well, and he needs to be convinced that that's at Arsenal, and perhaps this new guy could actually help do that, because it's Arsenal is changing off the field, and suddenly there's structure, there's infrastructure there, and you just feel that, whether it's Wenger the next year or someone else or the year after, you just feel that potentially now this looks like a club more sort of willing to go that extra mile to win, and that's on the field and off the field. That's by maybe signing players, re-signing players, and all that sort of stuff. And you just think maybe it would make an impact. So yeah, you would certainly be expecting him to be working from now. At the end of the day, anything he does now, and if he can get an Ozil to re-sign, suddenly you've got like 10 points in the bag there with everyone. You've achieved something. You've got something by your name before you've even started. So yeah, I certainly hope so. But things can change quickly. I mean, I joked about it, but last Sunday we were questioning Ozil's commitment and his mentality when he was sick, and fair play to the guy, he might have genuinely been sick. The doctor probably did genuinely send him back home. So got to be fair to the guy, but I mean, it's just, it changes, doesn't it?
We're football fans. We are football fans.
Well, he has a bad game Saturday, and suddenly it's he wants to join them, so he's not. Well, we just don't know, and sometimes the press do have an effect on us, even though we don't like to admit it, and we like to ignore what we read. But if there's a lot of stories, coming out on Sunday that Mourinho and Ozil had a chat after, it's going to affect us. But so we just have to wait and see. But hopefully, hopefully the new man Colombo will do his thing.
Dave, who's worse off, Arsenal without Lacazette or Man United without Nemanja Matic?
I do agree with Woz. I mean, I just love watching Lacazette play. It just brings so much more, to our game. Love the low centre of gravity. I love the sort of quick turns. Turning a defender. I love his running off the ball. I love his work rate. I do think we'll miss him. It's a massive decision as to who he plays instead of him. Logic would say he'll just throw Giroud in as he has been. He's been the first change for Lacazette all season, but it hasn't really worked that often. It worked the other night, but in general terms, Giroud with the new formation hasn't worked. Certainly hasn't worked in the Europa League. Matic is a huge miss for Man United. However, I just think in the same way that Chelsea missed Kante, I think. Not the same type of player. I'm not saying that, but yeah, he's a huge miss. But I think that's counterbalanced by having Pogba back for them. And he was been such a miss for them. And that's when they were scraping the 1-0s without him. They weren't performing. They weren't as fluid. Now Pogba's back. They're looking a bit more like the team that started the season. So I think Matic is a miss, but having Pogba back is more important to Man United. For us, I just can't second guess what Wenger's going to do. We will miss Lacazette, but it's a massive decision whether he brings in Welbeck or Giroud. I think he'll bring in Giroud. I'd rather he brought in Welbeck, to be honest. I would probably even put Alexis up top and put Welbeck behind.
It is important to note there that Giroud has been playing with that second fiddle team, and in the Europa, it's one thing playing sort of in front of a Wilshere and a Iwobi, and as good as Wilshere is, then, Sanchez and Ozil, and you saw it yesterday. It just something, we did click. Yeah, with respect to Huddersfield, it was Huddersfield, but
took him a few goals to click though, didn't it?
It did, but it's a different ball game, isn't it, when you're playing with this settled team?
No, but I'm saying he took him a few goals last night. I mean, he hit somehow he missed the open goal last night, didn't he? With his first opportunity. But no, but yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
they're not the quickest defence in the world, though, man.
No, and I think that's why Matic might be such a big miss, because, like you say, okay, without Pogba, they weren't so fluid going forward, but they could shut the back door, and that's because they had Matic just controlling. He's the coach on the field.
What's happened to Carrick? Is he completely out?
I think he's still coming back from it. Didn't he have a heart scare or some sort of health scare?
Yeah, they're massive. Yeah.
So he's still coming back, but Matic is, in terms of being Mourinho's eyes and ears and voice on the field, that's his role, and that's why he signed him. And without him, they're not. That's why when he went off, Watford scored 2 goals, and it could have been more. You know, they brought on Ander Herrera, and for whatever reason, maybe it's the contract, maybe he's just, you know, had a downturn this season. Him and Pogba's just coming back from injury. They're not clicking. So you're looking at it, and I'm thinking, well, this is a great game for Ramsey to go up head to head with Pogba, because that's one of the key battlegrounds. Ramsey versus Pogba. Who's going to come out on top? You know,
and he can't even throw Phil Jones in there, which is the sort of thing he would have done in the past, you know, as a defensive midfield player.
Indeed.
Because he's still out injured as well, isn't he?
Exactly. How are we going to fare against their front three? I mean, as I said earlier, Man United fans are now calling him Messi Lingard after that goal and performance last night.
Blimey.
I mean, on Tuesday night, you know, Pogba's not Pogba. Lukaku's not been scoring, but he's still been working really, really hard for the team. He goes wide. He opens up space for others. He's assisted a few goals against Watford. He's been doing that recently. I know Rio Ferdinand said that he doesn't want to see him searching for the ball. He should be up front on the shoulder, but he's searching for the ball and he's opening space for others. How are we going to combat that?
I think by being aggressive ourselves. I really do. I think when you've all made some fantastic points there, and especially the Matic one. I think that is so vital because Man United build through Matic, and it's almost the equivalent of Matic releasing Pogba to be able to freely go about his ways. It's almost like Granit Xhaka being able to release Ramsey to go and do what he wants to do, and having the passing ability from deep. And it's almost like saying you're going to put Coquelin in alongside Ramsey, and then you know you're going to lose that ability to build from deep, that progressive play. And when Man United have not got that, it means a transition from the back, and I don't think they're the best passers, their centre-backs either. And I mean, that transition for them to get out and find Pogba between the lines and find these players in higher areas, it could end up that Lukaku becomes very isolated. And then United might choose, because they've not got Matic, to play on that counter. And that's where players like Martial and Lingard, if he starts with Rashford, will really, really be useful to them, and Lukaku, to be fair. But I just think it would be a case where, personally, if I was Arsene Wenger, I'd want us to be front-footed, and that maybe, now, it's very, very difficult what we're going to do up front, and I personally would start Giroud, and the only reason being is that I want us to control the game and dominate the game, and I want us to play off of Giroud. I like Wells, and I like Alexis, but I'm not sure they'll either have a 9 out of 10 up front or a 4 or 5 out of 10 up front. And in a game like that, it's a massive rift. But we've seen Wells do it up front against United before, and we've seen what Alexis can do. But I've got a sneaky feeling, and I hope he don't do it, but I've got a feeling he might go Iwobi Ozil with Alexis up front and not play either of them, just to put something out
just
there.
To piss you off, was
yeah,
piss you off.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, because we're on this run, and I think it's nice for us to have options, mate. And but I really,
it's got to be the right ones. It's got to be the right ones.
And this is where Wenger's really going to earn his money, because games like this, we can all sit here as fans, but deep down we all look at it and we think, bloody hell, this is a tough one. Like, usually you can look at side and think, well, this is how I would do it. This is what I would do. But you look at the quality all over the park, and you're playing with fire, because if you push high and you get caught on the counter, everyone will be like, oh, United set up to do that, typical Mourinho. But then if you sit too deep and they start dominating the game and Pogba's getting hold of the ball too much, then you're on the other foot. But I really do think that with Matic being out, it means the game's in our hands, and I want us to be brave. I want us to put it on them early, and I think Kolasinac and Bellerin are going to have blinders, because Dave rightly pointed out, Said has been a bit lately, he's been a bit off the boil. His pass completion's very low. He keeps going. I love that about him. He never ever hides and he never stops. But if he can get back to the levels he was at sort of a month ago, and Bellerin can have a blinder, then I don't see why we shouldn't really take the game to United. Because I'll tell you something now, if we can get an early goal, it's going to balls Mourinho up, because we know exactly what he'll want to do. He'll want to keep it tight for as long as he can, and they're going to spring and try and get a chance with Lukaku or Martial or Rashford or Lingard, whoever it is. They're going to hope for that one chance, and they're going to be ruthless enough to take it. So I think if we get that early goal, they're going to have to come out of their shell. I don't think they've got the passes from deep without Matic. I don't fancy their centre-backs. I do think that Giroud can cause them havoc by getting touch tight and giving them something to play with. I'd have much rather Lacazette, but obviously he's not available. And I think Alexis and Ozil, they're key. But like you said, it's going to be a battle, and like I said, I mean, I'm waffling because I ain't got the answer to how we're going to be.
I think it's going to be interesting because obviously they're playing a flat back four.
No, three. They're playing three at the back.
They play three, are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
in which case, a lot's going to be decided by Young and Valencia against Bellerin and Kolasinac.
I was going to say that. You're absolutely right, Dave.
Valencia is easily my favourite Man United player. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league for 10 years. I think he's fantastic.
Beast, isn't he? He's a beast.
And Kolasinac isn't playing well. You know, as was said, I've said it before. And Valencia, if he gets forward, because he's still a winger at heart, he can beat Kolasinac quite easily. So we're going to be very careful of that. The only thing we can hope is that without a genuine sort of defensive midfield player in the middle for them, that, you know, Young and Valencia will not get forward perhaps as much as they might have done because they won't feel they've got the same cover. Let's hope that's the case. But I do like Valencia, and Ashley Young seems to be having a new lease of life in this left back wing back role. So scored 2 goals the other night, didn't he? So
Dave, you might as well do my job for me because I was going to say that. I was going to say the wing back is going to be the key battleground. And Valencia's probably the most consistent right wing back in the league this season. You know, and probably, like you said, for the last how many years. And
let's face it, he's a lot better than Bellerin.
He's got 10 years. He's got 10 years experience in him as well.
Absolutely.
But you know, and Young, as you saw the other night, has been just knocking in the goals. And from what I understand from Man United fans, he's been playing consistently well for 3 years. So that Mourinho didn't notice it in pre-season. Akhil, Dave mentioned earlier, 3-0 game 2 years ago. We came at them, we steamrolled them in the first 20 minutes. First goal was in the first 5 minutes. Same again on Saturday, do you think?
Well, I think both teams have moved on a bit now. We're maybe more similar than them. You know, that was under Louis van Gaal. It's a different team now. I'm not sure Manchester United would sort of allow that to happen as such. Obviously, if we play absolutely at the highest level we can, then potentially they might not be able to stop us. But I see it being a little bit different then. I think Arsenal then knew that they could beat Man United. And I mean, they'll think that now as well, but at that time, I think they really, really knew. And, you know, Louis van Gaal, you know, his couple of years here were quite underwhelming. So, I don't know, you know, but I mean, if you score an early goal, you can always try and go for kill, but I just think it'll be a little bit more balanced than that. And I think it might start a little bit cautious as well, just because that's the way Man United play. But, I mean, we'll see, but, you know, I don't know how to answer your question really, because I just think it's a completely, you know, that was a few years ago now. It's different.
But the Tottenham game showed us that, you know, we start fast, we, you know, get a head of steam. We're hard to stop.
Yeah, Tottenham are very similar to Man United. You know, this is kind of, it's more about the opponent than it is about us at times. I just think United won't potentially allow us to play early on. I just think they'll be happy to kill the game early, as they've done, you know, when they went to Anfield and as they tried to do at Chelsea, which they did for a bit, and then obviously they did concede second half. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. You know, it's going to be a bit of a balancing act for us, I think, how we start. But yeah, I mean, we're at our best when we start well, when we're passing the ball around, when we're, you know, creating width, when we're actually kind of trying to play. That's when we're at our best. So hopefully we'll get a good balance and you know, an early goal, and it would be it would be similar to potentially the atmosphere wise at the Tottenham game was absolutely great when we got that first goal, and hopefully we can replicate that.
Well, their next game is Man City as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, I was saying earlier, I was thinking about the part of the bus, but now I'm thinking they can't.
They can't afford to.
If they lose to us in the next game of Man City, they could be 11 points behind before.
Do you see he play before us? Do you see he play before us?
Probably because
they might.
I don't know. I'm not sure what they're.
Well, they've got West Ham anyway, so.
Yeah, so exactly, yeah.
I suppose it's a win anyway, yeah.
You make a good point, Dave. I mean, you know, they will have to. I'm not sure that a point's good enough for them. I think, you know, Mourinho will want to have something in hand when he goes.
Again, it depends what their expectation is for the season, as I mentioned earlier.
I would think that he's going for the league. Why would he go? Why at this stage, at this point in the season, would he think, oh no, we're 8 points behind. second best is, he knows, he's been around long enough to know that if they slip up, if Man City slip up, even for one game, he's right on them. As long as they're still chugging behind him.
Yeah, true.
Put the pressure on. They nearly have slipped up the last 2 games.
Yeah.
They've scored in the last minute of the last 2 games. They haven't played well.
So all right, let's go to predictions. Akhil, predictions Saturday.
Oh God, this is a tough one, isn't it? Can't even remember what I predicted last week. So I'm just thinking, how close did I get? I don't think I was very close. I'm gonna go 2-1 Arsenal. That does mean our sort of backline concede their first goal. But yeah, I'm gonna go 2-1 Arsenal. I want to be positive. Yeah, that's probably more the heart. The head probably says like a 1-1, but yeah, let's go 2-1 Arsenal. Let's believe we're happy at the moment, aren't we? So let's do it.
It would be 3-0 if we had Laka.
Yeah.
I'd take 2-0. I'll just take 2-0. I think Matic.
We would all take 2-0.
Oh no, I think Matic is the more and more I think about it, is such a key miss for them, and he's such a pivotal Mourinho player. So I think if we're at the races and Alexis is due a performance, and these are the kind of games where Alexis performs, so let's see him at the Emirates, dazzle the place, Mesut Ozil, take the absolute piss. Hopefully he gets 3 assists and we only score 2 goals. Yeah. St. Mail happens. Yeah, that kind of game where he just absolutely runs the show. And I think it's in there. And like I said, with no Matic, we've got an opportunity to manipulate that midfield and take the nick. And then we're looking at the front three and we're looking to see where we can get goals from elsewhere. And also think we've got a chance to set pieces.
Guys, we've hardly lost the game at home. I think we haven't lost the game at home since God knows how long. We've won since Man City came here and got 2-2 draw. We've got to be more confident.
12 consecutive wins. Yeah. And I will go for 13, along with Woz. I'll go 2-0 Arsenal.
Good stuff. Okay, so what are the odds with Bookie?
Well, Arsenal are favourites at 6-4. Man United come to the Emirates with a 2-1, and the draw is 23-10. So the bookies do back Arsenal. So it will be interesting. I mean, first goal scorers as well. It's very tight. I mean, it's 15-4 for Lukaku, Zlatan, and not Lacazette, Olivier Giroud. So the bookies certainly think Olivier Giroud will start. Alexis Sanchez is 9-2. But Danny Welbeck if he starts at 5-1. So yeah, Arsenal are definitely favourites. So let's hope the bookies are right.
Once again, indeed. Okay, coolio. Let's wrap it up there. I want to thank my esteemed colleagues, Dave. Thank you, mate, for coming on.
Thanks, Giles.
You can now go and rest up after your long ass journey from Exeter and back. Once again,
he's not going to tell us about it, is he?
No, he's not. No. We've had enough. Axe, as always, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, no problem at all.
And
we're all excited.
Indeed, and I'm not going to ask you what you're watching or what you're up to. Just get home safely, whatever you're doing. Yeah. Get home safely.
I've got an hour drive home now across the bloody bridge and running at 25. So no doubt every lane's shut and every bloody junction. So probably be home in time for the next pod.
Yeah, indeed. All right, guys. Enjoy the game.
That's because they're all after you, mate. They know your license plate. They know your bike, man. They're looking for you, mate.
I'm sure you're all going to be there on Saturday. So go up there, have a good time, and hopefully we come back with 3 points. It's been a good round podcast. I've been your host, Giles. Catch me at AFC_Giles. That's 2 L's. My new place, my new home. Don't ask me why. All right.
God,
all right. I'll catch us again next week as we review the big game on Saturday. That's been a good round podcast.
Up the Arsenal. Come on, Come on. This episode of the Gooner Ramble podcast is sponsored by the sporting app Bookie. Download Bookie, use the promo code podcast, bet and deposit £10 for a free £10 bet. That's Bookie, BOOKEE. Please bet responsibly.